You know, we've been talking about this track, and I want you to look how snaky this thing is as it made its way through the area. So, of course, it made landfall yesterday as a Category 4, 150 miles per hour. That is now tied as one of the strongest hurricanes to ever make landfall in Louisiana. That ties with Laura last year, 150-mile-an-hour storm in southwest Louisiana. So this is our southeast storm. Laura was our southwest storm, Louisiana. It made landfall, and then we were expecting it to initially come up to the north here and go up towards Baton Rouge. So the track ended up being a little bit further to the right here. But that's as it slowed down. And I tell you, when it slowed down, it kind of made this turn to the north here. And then as it made its way right over Raceland, it made its way very close to parts of the metro. I mean, that was the center of the eye, so you can imagine that inner core and that eye wall went right over parts of St. Charles Parish. It did skirt parts of the New Orleans metro, especially towards Kenner, and boy, did it run right over Laplace. Laplace during that's when they got into their very heavy rainfall, and also as it was coming up through here, the winds were rushing into Laplace. So that's why you're going to hear, and you've been hearing all these stories of the flooding impacts in Laplace, and we were just never able to get there because of the interstate problems and all the stuff down on the interstate. So still waiting to hear from officials in Laplace and what's going on out in there, because they did have some serious situations with all the flooding ongoing from the surge and the heavy rainfall overnight. Made its way up through St. James Parish, then up into Livingston, and of course that eye wall ran right through Tangipahoa Parish along I-55. So while the center was here, the worst part was right here, and it ran right up through Tangipahoa Parish and then moved up into Mississippi. So now we're at Tropical Storm Ida. It is a 40-mile tropical storm. It's about to become a depression, and it has winds of 50 miles an hour. And it was a hurricane its entire life, all the way up until the border of Mississippi there in southwest Mississippi. So it was a Cat 4 for quite a ways in, and then it finally started to weaken as it got closer to the river parishes, and really once it got to the North Shores when it started to weaken some, but it was still a very powerful hurricane. There's the track right now. We were talking about it producing damage in Brookhaven. Brookhaven, you can see there, it is now past it, so that would have been probably earlier this morning that we saw those more intense areas of wind here in Macomb and Brookhaven, and now moving up to Jackson. So probably dealing with power outages up there, just not as widespread. So here's what we're looking at here locally today with regards to our latest impacts. I don't think we're really going to see much rain today. My confidence is growing that a lot of this is going to stay just off the coast. We're probably still going to see a few showers and storms, but this band right here has been near the mouth of the river and up towards Mississippi. And fortunately, we are finally getting a break from the heavy rain in Bay St. Louis and Hancock County and Pearl River County, even going over into Harrison County. So at least we're getting a little bit of a break from the heavy rainfall.
And Peyton, can I ask you a question? While you got that graphic up?
Yeah.
The graphic of the path of the storm is very enlightening. Now, if we can zoom in on that again, like you did, how long did it stay a 4, and then when did it become a 2 and a 1? And you know, this as we were saying, that like a tornado that just lasted for 10, 12 hours.
Yeah, let me turn on this setting really quick, Eric, and we can run through this. Because the exact times, I don't know them off the top of my head at this very moment. But yes, it did, and it was one of those deals where it was a very strong Category 4 well inland. We were talking about, and I couldn't think of the name earlier, it's the brown ocean effect. And what that is they call it the brown ocean because it's like the ground, grass or dirt.
It's giving it strength.
It's giving it strength, and it does. You got the marshy areas here. There's enough moisture and latent heat can be released in these types of things, and that's why it's maintained its intensity.
That jogged to the east, so it decimated Lafourche and then went by Houma. But then it jogged east toward us, so that's why we got hit with more and stronger winds than we would have had it stayed on that course to Baton Rouge.
Exactly, exactly. So there it is off the coast. It was a 4. It was a 4 up through Houma. It was a 4, and then it turned into a 3 right around the time it went past Raceland. So it was still a major hurricane right on the doorstep of New Orleans, and that was yesterday evening. So it made landfall around noon. I mean, it was almost a Category 4 for hours afterwards until it started to get further inland and it got away from the marshes, and then you have just land up here, and it continued to move to the north, and then as it moved close to the New Orleans metro, we were in the eye wall. At least the western part of the metro was in the eye wall there.
Yeah.
Really pounded the St. Charles area. St. John, I'm telling you, St. John Parish and the Bayou Parishes just got hammered by this. And then there it is. Y'all were asking earlier, what did Ascension Parish feel? And you could see they were on the western eye wall towards Gonzales and up there. You said Prairieville, and we were talking about Donaldsonville.
Yeah.
It kind of just went in between there, and then Lake Maurepas and up 55, and then it just skirted that eye wall, ran right up through parts of Hammond.
And what's the time frame of where it is now? Because how long did it stay a hurricane before it dropped to a tropical storm?
Once it made landfall?
Yes.
Oh gosh, what was it, 16 hours?
Is it that? Oh, I thought it was 12, but it's a long time.
Let me think. It made landfall at noon. It was still a hurricane when we came in at midnight, so it was at least 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't 16 hours.
It
It took
was about 12,
16.
yeah, about
it was
12
in
hours.
between 12 and like
That's why we're
13.
saying it's like a 12-hour tornado that whipped through the state.
Yeah, exactly.